LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram is a wall of AI gurus. She's making 5K a month. He's making 3K a month. This guy is literally blanking and he's making that much money. I personally feel behind and scared.
I feel it. Does AI have the ability to boost an economy relative to a current baseline? Well, the current baseline is poor. We're in a possibly the worst economy that we have been in my career.
Well, how do you define strategy?
If it's not going to matter in 2 years, it's not strategic.
I'll ask you some questions and you tell me if those statements are strategic or noise. Hiring an in-house AI lead.
For a small company, it's just a mistake.
Cutting headcount because AI can do it cheaper.
Tactical.
Spending $50K on an AI consultant before you've defined the problem.
Tactical.
If you're not going to have a long-term view with AI, you've lost the battle already.
Well, there's two sides to that. So I think...
What would you ignore that everyone is telling you to do?
Create an AI.
First of all, what do you really think about the AI strategy that the government has dished out?
Well, it's not a strategy.
By the way, almost a year from now. So
yeah. I looked at it and I thought, well, maybe it was a junior with ChatGPT. It's not a strategy. It's someone's go over the weekend with putting together a document. It's a little bit like a junior consultant's work, and again, it's quite tidy. So they've laid it out nicely and that kind of thing. But it's not what any strategic person would accuse of being a strategy. It's a good start, but if an intern brought it to me, I'd be like, oh, nice work. What comes next? Where can we go from here? But it's not something where anyone who knows about strategy or AI has produced. So you could say I'm not a fan.
I can hear it. And do you think it has done anything to help people get clarity?
No, I don't think anyone will have read it twice.
Have you read it? I
read it once. There's nothing to refer to in it. I mean, it's...
what did it say? How?
Nothing that's memorable. So like I say, I don't think anyone will read it twice because you look at it the first time and you think, oh, this is not useful. And I think it was created in such a way that it was designed to agree, not be controversial, which in my view is the wrong thing. It certainly didn't get attention. It's forgotten. If you wanted it, you could probably get a better strategy from a newer tool.
So that says a lot about, I mean, that's your opinion, of course, and some other people might disagree. They might think it's amazing.
They're welcome. Put disagree in the comments. I love a good argument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you make of the 76 billion forecast? Because that was a report made by Microsoft and Accenture in 2024, which have found that adopting generative AI could add 76 billion to the New Zealand economy annually by 2038.
It could be that, and it could be zero. And so that's interesting, isn't it? So it's a 12-year period, is it? So 26 to 38.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Well, it was done in 2024.
Oh, 2024. Okay. So you divide that out. It might be noticeable on GDP if it happened. But I think the key word in there is could. It could, but it could not. And it could take away. So when I look at something like that, I always say, hey, where's the money coming from? So you've got two companies, one that builds AI and one that consults on it when it's not working. Who have got a vested interest in people spending money on it. And they are not even confident enough to say it will. So these are the biggest companies in the world in that area. So I don't if people are very specific with far off future numbers, I tend to think it's advertising. So I would say their marketing departments probably came up with that because 76 sounds good. Maybe they saw 6-7 and thought of 7-6, I don't know, but I'd say it's probably about as useful as the New Zealand government AI strategy. I saw the headline. I haven't even read that report, so so 0 times. So look, the question is, does AI have the ability to boost an economy relative to a current baseline? Well, the current baseline is poor. We're in a very, possibly the worst economy that we have been in my career. And I was working in finance through the GFC. So that's saying quite something. And I think what's different then is that was a crisis, as in the economy had been hit by a number of specific issues. Some key banks blew up. We had specific things that were happening in the economy that caused problems. Now we've got a general malaise compounded by an ongoing situation of supply constraint around fuel and energy, which goes across the economy, and that creates long-term problems for people. AI cannot fix that. I've got no doubt. The main way AI is being used at the moment is for self-targeting drones, so I don't think that's a very positive thing. So can AI boost an economy? Yes, and it's one of a number of tools. If I go to a building site as a builder, I take a number of tools. AI is one of those tools in a professional setting, and if I'm a builder, I take a hammer. It's a very powerful hammer. It's like Thor's hammer, right? But it's dependent on who's wielding it and what they know about what to do with it.
Right. So this is quite profound. Clearly, if you have an AI tool and you do not know how to use it and it's not optimized by the right people, it's going to take you down the wrong path, the wrong way. Not going to help it.
AI is a multiplier.
Yeah.
So if you're not very good, it can make you absolutely terrible and much more of it.
Yeah.
And if you're good, it can make you fantastic. So for example, if you are a good writer, AI can help give you feedback on how to improve your writing. But it can also do a terrible job if you're not a good writer. It can make it worse and just appalling to read. I honestly feel sick sometimes when I read like heavily AI-induced writing, and I call it that. It's not really very
AI
intelligent. Slop. Yeah. Isn't it embarrassing that something has become so routinely and identifiably bad that there's a meme about it now?
I think I heard something like 58% of people now, 58% of the content that we see online is made of AI.
That's where the bottom have to start. All the crap rises, all boats rise at high tide. Mm-hmm. And so you fill in from the bottom. And I found a really disturbing trend, actually, which is completely AI-generated websites. And there is a New Zealand actor who was on Shortland Street and has recently left. And there was an AI website. I searched for him, and one of the ones that came up, because they're quite good at SEO, AI can be, because really good at putting keywords in, not good at accuracy. So it had a long detail about how he died a terrible death. Oh. Now, he hadn't.
But
But him not dying isn't a headline. Him dying is a headline. I did a post on LinkedIn about this, and I thought it was like awful that they get clicks and generate advertising money by advertising. It's not.
Is this like an AI specific platform that is doing?
It's just
is bad, or
it turns out that was one of the first ones I found. It turns out there's a whole lot of them. I found another one last night. Funnily enough, also looking in the acting space, and because actors are kind of popular, they can be very much of the moment. And so people go and search, and you can sell those clicks to advertisers, right? So if you say something like, everything's okay with Bob, no clicks. If you say Bob has died a terrible death, everyone goes and looks there. So now you have these AI rubbish factories churning out junk. Now, we knew that a lot of AI writing was kind of junk, and there's a rule about that we'll come back to. But now it's just out and out lies and falsehoods that are being put out just to generate clicks.
And what would this mean for businesses who are quite established, and how should they be? How does that implicate them?
Well, I would guess that existing businesses wouldn't be trying to do something like that. I think it would be people who are chasing the shiny thing. They're like, oh, we can do this thing with AI, and we can say, oh, write a write a piece about this actor, and it writes something, and they can put out. Remember, the one of the problems with the AI is that it's now very easy to put out vast quantities, and then you test it to see which one does best, and then you favour that, and that gets hits, and you sell hits for advertising, whatever your nefarious purposes are. But that's not a real business. That's just a scam. I think interesting. In China, actually, they're looking at, and I think it's important to look around the world at the different approaches to regulation. In China, there's an approach being taken. This isn't really an AI thing. If you use a platform or a social visibility to promote something that is not true in a couple of areas, including medicine and one or two others I can't remember, you can be charged with a crime. Mm-hmm. Isn't that interesting? So people can be charged with a crime for lying. I don't want people lying to me. I think it's quite good when people tell the truth.
Do you think AI is helping lies to spread quickly? I mean,
absolutely.
This is a very
higher volume, often harder to detect.
And how should established businesses be aware of that?
Well, again, it comes to put aside all of the tools and work out what your ultimate, what's important to you as a business. Do you have a moral compass? Write those down, handwritten on a whiteboard or a blackboard. I don't care what the colour of board is, but these are not related to the technology you use. And I think you've got a good example where you saw the big tech in the US flipped from being ultra woke and liberal to ultra conservative overnight when it suited them. So they don't have morals.
Can you explain the context, for someone who has no idea what you mean?
So I think you just look at the executives that were sitting with the various administrations in the USA when the presidency changed. And so large, massive corporates that are bigger than many countries, and their CEOs and other important people are sitting around the table with one president, one administration, and then a different president and a different administration, and with very different views, and they go from being, there's no doubt that West Coast liberalism had turned into, first kind of woke for a good reason because they awakened to people's needs, through to casting woke as bad, through to casting people out and taking very extreme views on things. And you're seeing, I'm not going to list names. I know that they love to sue people, but...
Yeah. And plus, we're not a political podcast.
No, exactly. And this is the point, is that it's not, it's about picking... As soon as money's involved, they're very happy to change their so-called beliefs. What it comes down to is they're not beliefs. They'll just do whatever makes them money. And this is the thing with AI. If a company wants to form a good strategy and be a good member of the global business community, whatever that might be, or the local business community, the tools shouldn't dictate the way the wind is blowing. Just because you've got a new AI tool doesn't mean you stop being nice to people, does it?
Well, no, but there's I don't know if do you agree that there's a shiny tool problem right now?
Always a shiny tool problem.
With, operators, because many people are now getting told you've got to adopt AI, you've got to use more of AI, but then there, as we know, like people who make $1 million to $3 million, they have a specific problem, and that could be a bottleneck issue. People who make the $3 million to $7 million, they have a specific issue. So I don't want to go through that too much, but what we're trying to do here is trying to answer a big pain point with business owners who are established, is that everyone is being told to adopt AI, and they can see if they just jump on YouTube or go to a networking event or talk to their peers. There's all that, hey, did you see what Claude was doing? They've got the co-work now. They've got the coding. You can do that. You can have like your whole entire like AI operating system. And we should just run our business on the AI operating system, and then like, oh, we better get going. Like the FOMO is real because you're losing. And I see that on YouTube.
I feel it.
Like, whoa, like she's making 5K a month. He's making 3K a month. This guy is just literally like blanking and he's making that much money. And so the business owner now thinking, gosh, I've just been pitched 50 tools this week. ChatGPT, Copilot, Claude, and agent automation. Like you almost see that LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram is a wall of AI gurus.
There's a lot of experts around.
Yeah, and they feel behind. Like I personally feel behind and scared, and like, oh gosh, should be making this and this. And when I asked you to come on the podcast, I was like, can you talk us into like what do you think Claude is doing now? And you're like, what did you say to me? Like,
Claude was last week.
Yeah. You were talking about having a strategy, a long-term view with AI. And if you're not going to have a long-term view with AI, you lost the battle already with AI.
Well, there's two sides to that. So I think the true strategy doesn't need to rely on any particular tools. Although the tools may enable it to occur, it's not because of the tool, right? So you might want to sell cars to the world, right? So you need cars to exist, and there needs to be an economy for that. But it's not just because you can do electric, or it's not just because you've got a new spark plug or something like that. That's beside the point. I interviewed the CEO of Ferrari recently, and Benedetto Vigna, very interesting guy, background in microelectronics and nuclear physics. And he very rarely talked about technology, but he talked about passion all the time. So this is a person running arguably the best known brand on the planet, certainly in that space. And I think he kind of summed it up. He was very strategic, but strategy for him was a people thing. And that's where, if we're talking about going back to maybe how it implements, strategy can be created as something that's abstract of the technology itself that's being used to deliver it. And then you update the implementation and the delivery tools over time. But a good strategy should hold up in 4 or 5 years. And the tools might have radically changed. And that's fine. That's what strategy is. Strategy is long-term. And if, for instance, Singapore is a country that's got a long-term strategy for development. It started off in the 50s, all of a sudden they discovered they were a country unwanted by Malaysia, and they put in a strategy to improve the education and the health and the quality of life of their people. And now they're globally recognized as having succeeded and done very well. So that's a long-term strategy. Now, if they said, hey, by next year we want to have X better, that isn't really a strategy, or we want to use this tool. So with AI, the key thing about AI is learning. Your strategy should be not just implementing Claude by next week. That's extremely tactical, but learning, ensuring our team learn. I'm making this up on the fly, so hence the talking slowly. Ensuring our team learn about relevant technologies to delivering on our business strategy for our customers. Right, so that's a baseline one. And then you can say, how are we going to do that? Right, well, at some stage it moves from strategy to execution. And this is where I believe where most companies fail, because they have some strategic ideas. And strategy in its essence is kind of a little bit wishy-washy. Right, strategy to execution is the key thing. And this is where specifically for New Zealand companies, where we can do better. So other countries are better at it. But, you talk about some of those smaller brackets. The hard thing early on, getting up to about $1 million in revenue, that's kind of a what are we doing idea. Are we selling toothbrushes or something? Once you get up to that more in the single digit millions, you're having that fighting from implementing scale. Now, this is where New Zealand companies specifically have difficulty. This is why it's difficult for New Zealand companies a lot of the time, I believe, to go overseas, because we're a small economy here, but you have to change radically to go into another economy, even just like Australia, because they do operate different. Strategy can be the same, but the execution needs to be different. So execution-wise, from an AI perspective, with a large company, you can probably have a center of excellence, which is understanding what's current and finding ways to generate productivity out of tools. With smaller companies, I think the people need to be on the tools themselves. You probably can't afford to have a center of excellence in a 7-person company. But what you can do is you can say, hey, everyone, I want you all to learn about AI, tell me the cool stuff, and then see how you can improve what you do in your role. But I don't think it changes what you do. I think it changes how you do it. And it might change the quality or the speed.
Quick one. If you're an established business owner who already knows podcast guesting is one of the smartest moves for your business, you want to be on podcasts, but you're too busy. You don't know what to pitch, how to pitch, what to say once you're on the microphone, and you just need some help. I made something for you. It's called 3 Free Podcasts. I will personally send you 3 shows your ideal clients are already listening to, plus exactly how to land a guest spot on each one. Simply go to powerfully.com/Mina, enter your details, a few questions about yourself, and then you will get the email. That is powerfully.com/Mina. Here are team. This week I tackled week 7, Big Data and AI, on my Disruptive Technologies course that I am doing with Academy X. And I'm not going to lie, it did my head in this week. Basically, the world is making so much data that it's way more than ever before. Think like zettabytes. And they taught us 3 things this week: volume, velocity, and variety. Plus this thing called synthetic data, which is fake data made to train AI when data really runs out. So for New Zealand businesses, what this means for you guys, for us, is that there's a lot of data with our businesses, sales, customers, and online clicks, for example, and AI can use it to spot trends, save time, and make smarter calls for us. So this is quite cool, and I really want to learn more about it, but I'm still wrapping my head around it, and I am keen to continue, and I'm keen for you to check it out. Check the course, see if you might like it. Follow my journey as well. There's a link in the description, and let me know if you do join, and I'll see you inside. Hello, thanks for watching this video. Quick note, have you subscribed? Over 90% of people who are watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or on Apple are not subscribed or following. Please do so now. It's so simple. The button will be around the screen somewhere. You either hit subscribe or hit the follow button or leave me a review. It will help me so much, helps me grow as a channel and support my work. So I really appreciate it. Okay, back to the episode. If you're thinking about someone who's, let's just go, making 1 million to 3 million, team of 5, just spent 5K or 20K, let's say, maybe 20K on AI tools in the last 12 months with nothing to show for it. Or maybe they've hired an AI contractor to try and implement AI in their business. And then they listen to this episode thinking, was that a good strategy? I mean, it clearly is going to help their business run efficiently, especially with workflows like with N8 and Meg.com and OpenClaw and all these, tools. But if they don't have a proper strategy and thinking in place, can you help that business get that clarity on, like, what should they be thinking? What questions should they be asking themselves to develop because we don't know what they do. We don't know the niche they're in, but there's always like principles that allows us to develop a great strategy and allow AI not to be the strategy itself.
Yeah, so I would say that spending money is also not a strategy. So if people have got a big spend on AI, for a smaller company, they are probably going about it the wrong way. First, you've got to have great people and you can accelerate them. good or great people will find ways to improve what they do. That's what makes them great. So, do you know what I spend on AI tools? So I'm a really well-known face in AI. I present on it. I'm on panels all the time. I probably spent $200 last year
on AI.
Yeah. And the only time I do it is there are so many free tools around, and most people need to learn about it. Most people are not at the deployment and execution stage.
Is that the strategy? So, before we get into applying it, what I would love to understand is if I'm sitting in front of you now, I'm making $2.5 million a year, and I just
nice job, by the way.
Thank you very much. And I am thinking, am I on the right track? Am I doing the right thing? Am I thinking about strategy? How do I think about strategy? What does that mean? What is it? What is it defined as? How do you define strategy? I need to get understanding of that.
Yeah.
What can you walk us through in simple terms, specifically to AI? Because you can have a strategy with your profit margin. I don't know, with your business, but
I would argue that, I break it down to kind of three. So there's strategy, there's execution, and then there's the bit in between, the grey area, which is strategy to execution. And a lot of the time people can be reasonable at strategy, they can be reasonable execution, but they fail in between. So again, I don't think strategy depends. I think strategy is about the who and the what, not the how.
Okay, that's good to know.
So strategy, ask yourself the question. This is like there's a name or something, Razor. If it's not going to matter in 2 years, it's not strategic.
Can you give us an example? With AI.
Yeah. So someone's saying, "Oh, well, let's look at Claude versus OpenAI toolset." Right. Oh, we need to commit to this. This is a really strategic decision. Are we going to use Opus? Are we going to use Codex? Those are the coding platforms for each of those. Are we going to make a strategic decision? No, it's not. That is not a strategic decision, because if you make that decision and then next week the other one's better, is it strategic to doggedly stay with the one that's not as good? No, it's not. That's not strategy. The name of it is not strategic. In 2 years, will it matter? Like, say, I'll just paint a little picture. Say you go into a company and it's got some problems with, cash flow. It's running out of business. You've got a bit of you've got a crisis. Like, can you pay your bills? You need to be thoroughly tactical just to make sure you can keep running. And then you need to build a strategy that's going to work for the long term. Usually you can have both strategic failures or tactical failures that have put you in that situation. Usually it's a combination of both. But you need a combination of both to get out of it. So how do we make sure we pay the bills over the next little while? But then you need a strategy that's going to ensure there's money in the bank over the long term. So from an AI perspective, what's going to matter in a couple of years? So 2 years ago, no one had heard of DeepSeek. But when it came out, I think let's call it a year to be generous. It might be a little bit less than that. DeepSeek came out, and I remember all the headlines. DeepSeek changes everything, throw out everything you knew. These people are not strategic. Again, I don't care if it's DeepSeek or ChatGPT or Claude or, X or Grok or, God, there's so many. I can't list them all. Let me tell a personal story. So when I did computer science at university, they made it very clear. We were in an academic stream, and they said the language you use does not matter. We are solving problems. We will solve problems. Computer science is very applied, right? So yeah, sure, there's maths and physics and stuff you learn about the way the technology works. But by the time the software is up and running, we didn't talk to each other about what computer languages that we learned. Because if I needed to learn a little bit of this or a little bit of Pascal or C++ or Java or this or whatever the things were back then. We just learned it. Smart people learn the tools. I might know 10, I might know 50. I don't know. I don't keep track. Strategically, I know how to design software. But from a technical perspective, I'll grab any tool I need. If I need to, if I don't know a lot of Perl, right? If I need to use Perl by the end of the day, I'll be good enough. I don't need to be great. And if Perl's the wrong thing next week and I need to use Python, I will use that. That strategically understanding the basis of how algorithms work and the concept of, it doesn't sound important, but the concept in computer science of sorting is a very important thing. If you can't, it's basically the idea of finding information. Big steps have been made, but no one remembers a tool.
I like that. I want to go back to the strategy definition, which I really loved, where you talked about it's not the how. The strategy is not how, which literally that's what we've been told. Strategy means how you do it. But it's about who and what. Can you please explain why a strategy is about who and what, not how?
Who and what and why, yeah.
And why, but then why is it not how? So please get into that for us.
So I like to eat. I don't mind how people grow food for me. But it's really important that I eat.
But you care about how you're going to get the food. As part of your strategy to get the food.
No, I don't care. If the food turns up on time, it's the concept of like just-in-time manufacturing, right? If the part I go to get to build the machine is there at 10 o'clock when I go to get it, I'm happy. I don't care if it's come in by jet or truck or horse-drawn carriage. I don't mind. Now, along the way, there's aspects of, hey, I want to make sure I do something in a way that's environmentally responsible. Those are kind of overlays you might call, but if you just trim it down to the basics of that, like I can't always afford to buy organic milk, but I would prefer to buy milk from cows that have been treated well, put it that way. And so my strategic way of approaching that is to encourage a government that will put those things in place. The tactical thing I can do is to buy the milk. Right, so if you break it out there. But you remember Simon Sinek, he made a career on, drawing a few circles and putting why in the middle. And I think he got it wrong. I mean, I love Simon, but I think he missed the who.
Really?
Who is first? Without people, there isn't a lot. Things don't really matter. Ultimately, there's a saying I like, ultimately people fight for their family. And, it's like you've got someone who's close to you, you will do what you need to do to support them, even if they're not in the right. And the way to look at that, someone who's guilty of a crime still gets visitors in prison. It's the who's in the middle. And then you've got a why that's around that. But without the who, the why doesn't really matter. And then you go out to the what are we doing? And then the how. So let's use the examples of shoes. Shoes need to fit a person. That's the who. Why? Because the person wants to walk around. What are they doing? Or they're generally the what is the shoes and the how. Do you care if I use a pair of scissors or or box cutters to cut the leather for the sole of your shoes? No, you don't.
That really completely changes how I look at this. And it's great to hear that. I would love to understand let's go back to like a specific example so we can apply this to these people and help solve, hopefully they're going to get something out of this, but the bottleneck founder who's making somewhere between 1 million, 3 million, have got a team of 5 to 15. They are spending money on AI tools. They're getting contractors in. They're watching competitors post AI wins on LinkedIn and feeling further behind every week. They don't know.
Let's tick off a series of those points, eh?
Yeah.
So if you're that small, and that's a small business, I wouldn't be getting a contractor in. I'd be getting small businesses, other small businesses, because you're always networked as a small business. Use that. And founders talk to founders, execs talk to execs, and you say, hey, what AI wins have you had? And then on a Friday afternoon, 3:30, every couple of weeks, you knock off and you have someone visit from another company who tells you the cool things they're doing, and you share information like that. And that's free and it's inspiring because you get cool, interesting, smart people in who, not what, not how, but just hey, it's the inspiration. And if you can get people inspired, they do all the rest. They take care of the other layers of the onion for you because they're good people who are inspired. And in the early days of LLMs, if I roll back to 2019, 2020, 2020, 2021, just before ChatGPT came out, and I was experimenting with these tools and giving demos of things, and people were blown away by some pretty simple stuff. And the standard one I used to use was creating a social post for a marketing team, and I'd say, I remember someone challenged me in a presentation I was given. Someone said, oh, but can you get it to write something that's accurate? And I said, and they gave me an example. I said, let's find out. So I did a live example, and they said, well, we work for Telstra. Write a social post about an event that's happening next week. So I just made up some stuff, and it did such a good post with hashtags, and they themselves and the audience were blown away. And so for them, I didn't teach them the tool, I inspired them. And now, a couple of years later, everyone's doing that, but I showed them something that had been magic. And I lifted up the thing, I lifted up the handkerchief and showed them the rabbit or whatever it was, and they were blown away. And then I told them the things, some of the how about, this is the way you can do it. That knowledge is all out there and it's available for free. I wouldn't be paying for people. In fact, I would look at their LinkedIn. I said this before we started recording. I'd look at their LinkedIn and see what they were doing a couple of years ago. And I'd use, remember, is it important in 2 years? If 2 years ago they had a consistent message, very professional, helping people, get good value out of the current times, that sounds like a good person. But if they were selling NFTs or whatever the cool thing was, or the cool shiny thing back then, I would not be paying them a cent, and I would not be following them. And actually, you talked about the FOMO, and I feel this. I get, it's weird because I feel this fear of missing out, and I see all these brand new so-called experts talking about this amazing thing, and I'm making an extra 5K a week. Well, there's always someone who's going to be lucky, right? And you need to read Nassim Nicholas Taleb's books like Black Swan and that kind of thing about that. Some people are just lucky. And those people, especially the noisy ones, they make something about it and they make a whole bunch of people feel bad. I don't think that's very cool. I want to inspire people. I'll be like, here, look at this. This is the how of how it can be done. The how is not special. The special is the doing of it. It's the person who gets up in the morning and thinks, you know what, I'm going to try something out. I have never used a coding tool before, but I'm going to try it. And then you use it to do something cool, and then you show someone else. And that's inspiring. And it's just a whole lot of who and people being inspired. And the what will come, because next year, 2 years from now, the what is going to be different. The things that can be solved. Do you remember back in 2008, the iPhone comes out, and then a few years later, really the App Store got going and people were generating apps. And then everyone was posting about, I put this app together. Apps used to be quite expensive. It cost about $1 million to put an app together. A couple of years later, it was 100,000. Then it was 10,000. And now, someone with no experience can whip one together in an afternoon. I don't want that one. I don't want the one where very little thought has gone into it. I want them to care about it. I want them to have been slaving over it and have a commitment. Because if that one doesn't work, the next day they'll just do something else. But when you've got something, and I've got a couple of apps that are maintained by individuals who just care. They've created it for themselves. And I've created an app, for instance, to find really interesting roads to drive. Well, it's just for me. And if anyone asks me about it, I tell them everything about it and give them the code. That's inspiring, I think.
Okay, so this is a completely different way of looking at things, different way of strategizing, and most people would agree or disagree, I'm not sure. If we take it a step further and go into the scaling operator who's making 3 million to 7 million, maybe have a team of 15 to 30. I've got a little case study here that you could speak into that in terms of how to separate strategic AI investment from tactical waste.
Sure.
This sort of case study would mean they have a real team, but there's no AI strategy. It's just scattered to all subscriptions, worried about staff. They are secretly using ChatGPT. They worry that staff are secretly using ChatGPT and creating data risk. They're being pitched 50K to 200K AI implementation project by consultants, and they can't tell if it's real. There's a real margin pressure, and AI feels like the answer, but they can't find a path.
So, in talking to someone, if say I got that, I would say that expenses come before income. First you spend money and then you generate income from it later. So do you want to do something that you don't know about for a short-term outcome? AI, try some stuff, spend some tokens, that kind of thing, hire a consultant. The costs are guaranteed, the revenue is not, right? The income is not. So normally when people have there's a need, a shorter term need in this business, doing something you're good at is quite a good idea. With that kind of example that you've given there, if you cannot tell if, say, the consultant proposal or the implementation or something is good, it's probably not. Because if they cannot communicate why it's good, they're not good at doing their job. This is a human thing. You need to be able to communicate with people and help them understand. I want to see outcomes. So if someone says, look, we can put this in and you've got X number of support tickets, looking at that, I think we can automate 20% of those support tickets. From a downside perspective, let's say adoption means we can only do 15%. Those support tickets cost you X. We can supply a system for Y, and you will get a benefit based on the ratio between X and Y, X minus Y. Right. So if the cost of supporting it is higher, for instance, say you've got a cost per ticket system. Now, what people forget is when you bring in a new system, you generally have to run both systems for a while, and you get overlaps. You get double costs, which is really bad. And also, if you're trying to replace people who do a job with something that's brand new that you're not experienced at, you'll probably get it wrong. It takes 3 or 4 goes at something to get an implementation to stick. And I find that's across a range of different company sizes. So it might be 3 or 4 people, it might be 3 or 4 platforms. You know, the number of people I know, it's a bit less common now, but if you roll back to, say, 2017, CRMs were getting quite popular, and people would go through 2 or 3. Changing CRMs sucks. And I remember I was paying for the several CRMs. I was paying for 2 separate CRMs for about 3 years at one stage, because we just couldn't get rid of the old one because it did one thing that the new one couldn't, and we couldn't change because of that. And so I had 2 subscriptions, and I don't think I ever got value out of it. I swear I could have done better on just using free tools. And so many of the companies that I know have done that. So back to that example that you gave there, I would be looking for people, consultants that can explain themselves well. If they can explain themselves so I can understand it, that's a good start. Can they explain it so the CFO can understand it, so the people who are doing the job can understand it? And if they can't, they're not the right people.
So how to separate strategic AI investment versus tactical waste? That's what you would say?
Yeah, so tactical waste is the just spending without an understanding of the KPIs you're trying to deliver on or the outcomes. That is true tactical waste. It's like, oh, Band-Aids. Let's throw some Band-Aids at that.
But going back to your strategy model of who and what first and why and then the how, how does that apply to this case study?
So again, strategy doesn't tend to be, it's not really a short-term thing. So I think the most important thing in that example that you've given me would be about ensuring that you've got a team understanding of the actual business that you're in. If they're not doing a great job, AI can accelerate that. If they're doing a great job, AI can accelerate that. If you're hammering in a nail, a hammer can accelerate that. Right, so it's the same thing. But fundamentally, most AI, you could have a strategic decision to adopt AI in the business, and that's a strategy. Say, hey, look, we accept AI's here to stay. We're going to be an AI-enabled business, just as 30 years ago people were accepting a strategic call to put in email and use the internet. I remember people saying to me, I wonder if I should get an email address. Now, here's a question for you. Is it strategic to do something or to make a decision to do something or not do something where if you don't do it, you're going to die, right? Is it strategic to breathe? Well, it's tactical. It's a good strategy as well, because if I don't breathe, that's going to be really important in 2 years if I don't breathe, right? But it's actually tactically, I just need to do it. So to bring that into your example, we need to learn today, and we need to give people a language, a vocabulary, so they can make sophisticated decisions. And those decisions 30 years ago were about, do we get a website? Do we need email? And there was a good 4 or 5 years where there were some questions about that. Some really funny old clips you could put on here about people saying, oh, is this World Wide Web just a phase? This internet thing? We're going to move on. What's the next shiny toy? Well, it's a fundamental strategic shift and a change. So you need to accept that, but you need to learn today. And if you look at the whole elephant, people say, how do you eat an elephant? Well, the answer is, one spoon at a time or whatever it is. I don't recommend eating elephants. I think they're quite lovely. Keep them alive. But if you're doing something big, you still need, strategically you want to eat the elephant, but tactically you need to use a spoon. So you've got to approach it. Set your plan in place, understand who it's going to impact in different ways. And the best way to understand that is to educate people so they've got that ability to communicate, and then ask them, how is this going to impact your job? And if the person's job is to do with getting emails from an inbox and putting it into the right support folder, it's pretty obvious that's going to be able to be 90% automated within a pretty short amount of time. In fact, it can be today fundamentally automated. So they need to learn really quickly. In terms of making decisions about hiring and choosing the right people, I wouldn't be trusting AI with that right now. I haven't seen tools that do a good job. I've seen lots of tools that do a bad job and people are spending a lot of money on it. But the closer it is to a human type activity, the further away AI is going to be. So it's not a one-off thing. It's not a single decision. It's not like, hey, we're going to take this tool, or we're going to read this book, or we're going to do that course. But all of them are important, but none of them are urgent. But if you don't do important things, it will become pretty urgent.
What about the people who are making 7 million plus? They've got a big team, like 30.
Well, they can have people who can specialize in it. So they can have people who are dedicated to learning that, becoming the subject matter expert in their own business. And that's an exciting space to be, I think. I'd love to do that for a big company, someone like Fonterra or Fletcher Building, it's going to impact all of these companies, these really big companies. So if I was them, I would be, and these are some of the discussions I have, government and enterprise. How do we approach it? Well, get people internally, fund it, and they can help develop a strategy. I think you can, at that level, you've got significant funds to do something strategic, and you might say, let's create, we know it's going to be a thing, right? So scrolling back, to the dark old days of the 80s and 90s, you knew you needed people to do IT stuff. So you've got a couple of people in, and that department has grown, right? It might be shrinking at the moment, but it's certainly grown over time.
This is what the mature owners do. They are watching competitors lay off staff and being replaced by AI.
Well, they say they are.
Yeah.
Remember, people only call out about their wins. They don't tend to call out about their losses. So when there's a lot, I saw the classic thing that, that's being talked about a lot at the moment, very topical, is that junior developers are now getting jobs to come on and help save money on AI. I laugh at these people.
What does that mean?
Well, they thought, we'll just get rid of the junior developers because AI can do the job. AI couldn't do the job. So now they're getting junior developers to come on and manage the AI. And this strategically is what people who know a bit more about it and have actually learned about development have been saying, is that AI can accelerate people. So get a good developer, give them AI tools to accelerate them. So that junior can learn. They can help the intermediate person. A lot of the time, younger people naturally, because they've got a lot of capacity and they've got a lot of interest, and they can go and learn things quite easily and use them to bring that through your business. I've for a long time, I'm not ever the youngest person in business now, but I used to often be the youngest, and I would be bringing in the new ideas. I'd be like, look, we can use some coding to fix this. I built a system when I was working at an investment bank. It's still being used today. And they didn't have anyone who could code before that. And I put something together, made money, it saved money, it lowered the risk, it did all the right things. And who knew? But I brought that in.
I see. Can we take it might be really helpful to go through, I'll ask you some questions and you tell me if those statements are strategic or noise. So it would be, is it tactical or strategic?
Sure, like quick fire.
Yeah, quick fire ones.
Sure.
So, okay, number one, buying a ChatGPT Plus subscription for the team.
It's strategic if they're using it to learn. It's tactical if you expect them to do their job with it today.
Okay. Hiring an in-house AI lead.
For a large company, that's strategic. For a small company, it's not either strategic or tactical. It's just a mistake.
Post AI-generated content on TikTok every day.
Tactical, but not bad. I think that's all right.
Rebuilding your customer service with a chatbot.
I'd say that's strategic if you do it well. Yeah.
I thought that would be quite a short-term look.
Chatbots have been around for 8 to 10 years. They're getting more and more popular. And if you think of chatbot as an automated way of dealing with solutions with an easy answer, it's a long sentence, then I think it's sensible to automate things. Yeah.
Okay. Going on every podcast in New Zealand this quarter.
This quarter, tactical.
Cutting headcount because AI can do it cheaper.
Tactical.
Writing a 10-year vision for the business.
Strategic.
Picking one product line and killing the other three.
Stupid. Tactical. Sorry.
Sponsoring an industry association for 12 months.
Well, if you only plan to do it for 12 months, it's a little bit more tactical. But if you plan to do it without an end, then it's strategic, if it supports your strategic goals.
Okay. Spending $50,000 on an AI consultant before you've defined the problem.
Oh, tactical.
this form. Okay, well, this hopefully these questions have given you a bit of an insight into what maybe some businesses are doing who are listening to this podcast.
Yeah, because I know that there's something behind these questions, right?
Yeah. What is we're talking about bad decisions. I wanted to ask you, what is the series of worst short-term decisions that you've watched a New Zealand founder has made in the last few years, I would say?
Oh, I don't want to call anyone out directly, but what I would say is the word. I never answer the question. Sorry. The word founder has become a bit overused, I would say, and something that's happened is that everyone they set up literally like a corner dairy, and they call themselves a founder. That's a business owner, and I've got nothing, and I pop into a dairy occasionally. But the concept of a founder was this kind of, you're always running on this kind of urgency, and it's an entrepreneurial kind of thing. Often it's challenging, it's new. But if you set up a law firm, or if you set up an HR or like a recruiting company, you're setting up a business, but you're not really a founder.
Sure.
There's not much unknown in there. But
okay. Well, how about we just pick, so we'll say New Zealand business owner.
New Zealand business owner. And I think that's...
Okay.
Look, again, to take it back to the kind of the theme, if you're chasing after something that's just become cool, I don't have any specific example because I don't tend to track people who aren't doing a great job. But
okay.
If you're chasing something that didn't matter last year and won't matter next year, then it's not going to work because it doesn't matter. And you find yourself always in this sense of, the word pivot can be good or bad. It's great to be able to follow things and crest the wave, be right on top of that. But if you're always doing it to stay relevant, maybe you should be looking for something that matters more. So again, I don't know, but worst decisions, what have I seen? A lot of businesses, they announce, they hire the PR company, they hire the consultant. The people who spend money on their logo first up and that kind of thing, like that's someone who launches and all they've got is the work from the design company. I don't think they're approaching it. I want to know, someone says, I've worked out this way to make people's lives better, or I've worked out this cool thing. Someone contacted me the other day. They said, I've worked out this thing you can do with a camera so it can see through fog. I said, that is awesome. That's amazing. Talk to Apple, talk to Samsung, go to, all kinds of people are going to be interested in that. That's an amazing idea. That's a genuine problem. Imagine putting that in a car. Imagine giving people glasses that could see that. I have that every time I open the oven. My glasses get fogged up. I'm like, I've only been wearing glasses 100 years. I should have learnt that by now, but I don't. So I'm being a bit facetious there, but that's a genuine problem. So I have seen a bunch of people pop up. There's a lot of consultants. I think there's more AI consultants at the moment than there are people who are genuinely benefiting from AI, and that's a problem. Okay,
maybe one of your few final questions is, what should a New Zealand business owner be doing today that will not be paying off for the next 5 years?
Oh, so what are they doing that it's the long-term investment? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. What should they be doing now that it's not going to pay off until 5 years?
Well, things are pretty murky around 5 years. I think that the core thing is hiring good people and getting an institutional expectation of doing something great. That is not the kind of thing, it's very hard to measure, but it pays off over time. If you can hire good people, treat them well, you can have a mission that's important. If you keep them inspired, there's this concept of hire people and train them so well they could work anywhere and treat them so well they want to stay. And that's the kind of thing. And it's not that it's not like a tactical black or white decision that you do something now and then you get $1 million in 5 years. It's much more amorphous than that. It's hard to measure. And that's where you get the people who are prepared to take risk, usually on a hunch, and there's something strategic in there that they can't quite define, but they're driven by beliefs. And the more they can explain those beliefs, they can write it down, they can explain it to other people, the better. But sometimes it's just that you can inspire people. And I was talking with Steve Merchant, who you've interviewed, who bought my business, Ambit. And he said such a cool thing when I interviewed him. He said, the good people often find you. And, so he needed vet nurses. So he set up a school for vet nurses. And so he was fulfilling the market need. But he said, and we got the best ones. So that he got them first. And so he ended up creating some benefits that he hadn't fully predicted, but because he was doing something that was good and was useful and genuine, after a number of years, he was generating unexpected benefits. And that's what I think in the 5 year, if you're investing in your people, and the other thing is people say, oh, what if we invest in the people and they leave? Or what if you don't and they stay? So if you invest in people and they do leave, but you've given them a really great way of working, then you're building a quality network outside your company. And also those people you've invested in, they will help bring in people who've got the right approach. So you might have trained someone up for 3 years and they've got really good, and then they do leave and they go and work with someone else. But in that time, they've also hired some good people who continue on what they've been doing. And I believe in that. And I don't think there's a specific decision. I think there's some specific things that you can do that are wrong. And I've got a saying, which is that you cannot win in the details, but you can lose. So you can make a specific decision that goes wrong, but I don't think you can just do one specific thing that guarantees any positive outcome. And that's scary, right? People want guarantees. This is why most people are bad at investing. They want a guarantee. They say, "Oh, I want a guaranteed scheme." Well, the only way to guarantee it is to make sure your returns are very low. If you want the option for upside, you have to take risk. And then if people flip onto the greedy thing, they're like, "Right, I want $1 million by next week. What can I do?" That won't work. Long-term greedy is one of my favorite phrases.
Long-term greedy. Okay, if you're a solo operator, there's no team, still maybe making $1 million if let's just assume. If you're a solo operator, what is the long-term move that this solo operator should be making that will pay them back in 5 years or 2030? Yeah.
Invest in your relationships. And so for us, when you're a solo operator, essentially your relationships are your customers. Say you've got a handful of customers, that kind of thing. Those customers keep you alive. They put food on the table. They pay your mortgage. It's different when you're a sole operator. So spend the time with them. And I always thought, when I've run a few small businesses, if I can do something for them that makes their life easier, they're gonna remember that.
How do you do that? Do you just have a list of people every day, or what do you do? How do you do that?
Just be a good person. And I'll give you an example. I was talking to someone and they were rushed off their feet. And I said, "Would you like me to take you to the airport?" Because they need to go to the airport and they didn't know how they got. It was like, "I'll take you." It's completely unrelated to what we did. And
so okay. But what if you have a list of hundreds of people in your relationship?
Well, if you're a small business, you generally don't have hundreds of relationships, and I would suggest, it's different. If you've got a volume business, right, where you don't have personal relationships, that's a bit different. I haven't really got a ton of experience in there, but I would, if I could sum it up to say, treat people like people, do a great job, always focus on, there's the word customer experience is often thrown around, but really imagine what it's like for them. So I had something came through last night, And it was from, let's call it a New Zealand accounting company. And they said, we're sorry that our platform wasn't working. You can raise a support ticket. I thought, that's such a miss. I don't want to, I know that raising a support ticket with that company is just a path to misery because they never get back to you, or they put you onto an 0900 number or get you onto a community forum where they will ignore it for years. So if they know that they weren't providing a service to me, just refund me. It's incredibly obvious they know exactly who it's happened to. And if they don't, they're incompetent. So I'm calling out the CEO on that. Did on LinkedIn as we speak. I scheduled it for right during this. So people can probably work it out by now. But that's a good example. They're not thinking from the people perspective. It's like, sure, I think it's great to put out a CEO apology, but say, hey, we're sorry, and now we've fixed it. And there's some examples, very topical examples, came out last week with some banks that have been overcharging. Now, they made a mistake. I don't think they specifically meant to overcharge people, but they did. They fessed up to the regulator, and the regulator said, right, you've got to pay people back. And they pay people back. They didn't say raise a ticket and apply and then do all the work to tell me what's gone wrong and then we'll consider your case. Just do the right thing. And so if you're a small company, a small operator, treat it from the perspective of what do people need from me? Why? Remember, they don't probably care. I saw the funniest post the other day. It said, would you, it was a post of someone hammering Microsoft, and it was one of those pop-ups you get when you're using, when you're doing something really important, then Microsoft decide this is the time to get some feedback. Right, so they pop something up when I'm in the middle of typing a word and they say, would you recommend Microsoft Word to a friend? You're like, I don't really go around recommending word processors to friends. It's not how I make friends. It's not how I keep friends.
So it's the way they're asking you to share.
Yeah, it's completely personally incompetent because they're interrupting something I'm using the software for to benefit them. Doesn't benefit me. Popping up.
So they would rather, how should they do it?
I've got an example. I use this app called Klarna, and Klarna stores your cards. You take photos of your cards in your wallet. And in fact, I left my wallet behind today, but it's all right because I've got them all photographed in Klarna, and then I can scan. I go to the supermarket and I scan Klarna. Now, I go to the supermarket, and one time out of 3, I go to scan it, and it says, would I like to add a face login and give feedback? I'm at the supermarket with my groceries.
So again, the same concept, like it's in the middle of you doing your job.
Exactly. They're not thinking about me. They're thinking about them. Now, there is a way you could do it.
How?
You could wait until someone has scanned, and then you put up something that's computer term, non-modal, as in it doesn't take over the whole screen, which says, click here to make your life easier. And I can ignore it if I want. But it's an option. It doesn't take over the app. I get this all the time. I open an app because I need to use it for something. I'm very outcome generated. I open something, and if they say, right, give me feedback, I always give them negative feedback because that's not why I did not open the app to give them feedback. Let me do something. Identify when I've generated value, and then give me the option to say, would you like to share your experience? Something like that. Netflix does it really well. Netflix, one of my favorite.
Okay, last example, and we'll have to wrap it up.
Okay, so Netflix, if you pause a show, you get the option to give feedback. Now that's perfect. It doesn't stop me. It doesn't stop me watching the show. It doesn't like pop up in the middle and pause the show that I'm really excited about. It just, I pause it and it gives me thumbs up, thumbs down. And I can click it if I want, and I don't have to. That's good. That's thinking about the person.
Okay. Well, one last question. If you were starting again today with no money and small stuff, what would you ignore that everyone is telling you to do?
What would I ignore? So I would ignore the advice from the people who are new to the topic. There's a lot of, you talked about the FOMO. There's a lot of experts on TikTok shouting out, oh, learn this, do this today. Create an AI avatar of yourself and eliminate yourself. No, you are the thing that makes you unique. Everyone else can do the stuff, can do all the other stuff. So people, there's a lot of discussion about automating yourself. I think that's rubbish. I think you should distill yourself. So work out what makes you special. What makes your podcast special? The thing that you do, that's the thing that you should keep doing. Don't automate that. You don't give that out. You don't find someone who you can pay a tiny wage in a third world country. You don't get them to do that. You do you. So I would ignore that advice around how to automate yourself, change your day. That doesn't mean not learn about how to do things better. Like I still know people that struggle to use a calendar on their phone and they're forgetting things. That's a problem for them. They need to learn that. But do they need an AI avatar fitness coach? No. Stop doing that. Just go for a run. So be prepared to be uncool and do the things that make you uniquely you. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on the podcast, Tim.
Yeah.
You have inspired me a lot today, and it's been a great conversation about AI and the long-term strategy and short-term. I feel like I have more questions now than answers.
I'll tell you what, I aim to leave people with more questions than answers, because I was going to ask you, did I answer any of your questions? Because I'm not sure that I did. I think I gave you some.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did give me a few.
Do you know what
nuggets.
That's called? That's inspiration, because they're your questions.
Yeah.
You see?
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm not saying I've got the answers.
I'll have to do a lot more homework now.
Oh yeah.
You've given
absolutely.
me a lot of work to do.
This is why people hate working for me, right? Because they're like, I went to Tim because I needed to get this other thing done, and I ended up with 3 tasks and a bunch of questions. And I'm like, yes, I've done my job.
Yeah. No, that's good. I think that's a great way to end the episode. And how can people reach out if they want to follow you?
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm Mr. LinkedIn. So find me there. Just connect. Sending messages was useful, so LinkedIn's taken it away. That's right. Just connect to me. I'm always on LinkedIn.
And let them know that they know you through the podcast.
Yeah. And actually a really good way to do it would be to comment on the post and I'll see it and then we'll start chatting. And let's do that.
Okay. We'll have a link in the description.
Awesome.
Good to have you. Until then.
Thanks.
Stay cool.